for us to draw from because a lot of this is going to be COVID related, okay? And that's what we're doing with the overtime right now. And we know that we can make it through the first quarter of FY 2021. After that, our anticipation notes will be coming in, and we're hopeful that it's going to be somewhere at least where we think these numbers are on this page with some fallout. But because there are so many unknowns about, is there going to be more stimulus money? Is there going to be more unemployment payments, okay? Is sales tax going to stay like it has been? And just for you all's information, we have not had to draw down 1 cent on our lines of credit. We still got our fund balance in place, okay? But that is because of the things that I just mentioned to you. Stimulus money, our sales tax being above and beyond what it has been in a good year. And we know that that's because of funds that people have been able to receive that the federal government has provided that exceeds what any of us thought that anybody would be getting back in the month of March, okay? And so we know that we're good the first quarter. And once we start getting in our business license, our ad valorem taxes, we can see where we're going then. And at that point, if we need to go, and make a revision to the budget, we can do that. But we've got to be as conservative as we possibly can to get this budget year started.
No, and listen, Ms. Betty, I totally agree with that, but I just want to make sure that we are still doing the same things. I mean, an ISO rating of 1 is a great accomplishment that the fire department's gotten. And I just want to make sure that he has the people, even though the overtime's not in this budget, because I guess the fire department's, it's not really that much different than the police department, but if 2 or 3 people call in at the fire station, somebody's got to stay, and we got to pay that person. When we get called down to go to municipal court or wherever court to testify on people that we arrest, we have to pay them overtime. I just want to make sure that none of this stuff is changing, and we're going to continue to operate the way that we have been operating, even though this is not in here, that they've got the people that they need to
have. We start paying overtime?
Sir, I guess it'd just be simple and easy. I trust my finance director. She said I'm good.
Well, I guess this is a Chip question. Chip?
Councilman, what I can tell you is that from the outset, our priority was to make sure that the manpower needs were met and that all the material resources were there for these folks to do their job. And we promised both chiefs that if they would work with us on the front end of cutting these budgets, we'd fill the gap in with the reimbursement money. And then as revenues increased, we would evaluate approximately every 90 days to 4 months, and we would backfill any needs they had. But we've made an assurance to them that their manpower is not going to suffer. And I'd make that same assurance to you.
So that means no closing of stations because we don't have enough people. That still means details and East Chase at Christmas and all that good stuff. Nothing changes.
That is our goal. And before we would allow anything like that to happen, we would look under every rock and tree and hole in the ground to fill the gap some other way. We're going to make sure the first responders have what they need.
Okay.
And Betty,
Any other questions?
yeah, and you said the reimbursement is going to come out of the CARES Act is what we're projecting that's going to make up the shortfall in the fallout in this budget.
In the first quarter, we know we can do that because that money only goes up through December the 30th, not 31st, but the 30th, okay? According to the CARES Act. Right, and then we will have started getting in our anticipation notes to know what revenue is going to look like in the first quarter of the year 2021.
Okay. All right, thank you.
Mm-hmm. Anybody else on that?
Got a question? Okay.
Yeah, I do. Wait a minute. I'm sorry.
Yes,
I'm late. I apologize. Let me apologize first for that. Y'all may have already
Pull
had
the
this
mic around.
conversation. Y'all may have already had this conversation. CC told me it don't make a difference. It kind of still equals out to the same. When we had the Parks and Rec, page 32, that taken out, that's really not taken from our community centers or anything we're doing in there, right?
It's not, and we have in a transfer out line item that we talked about when we had our meeting last week here to go over the budget. There are funds in there that will help take care of those community centers, okay? Because they have to be transferred out into a project, okay?
Okay,
And so we have to put them in that line item in the budget, and you can see, I think the budget you're looking at now, it'll be about $3.2 million. And we added to it and took from that, and it ended up being $3.9 million, okay?
okay. Thank you.
Anybody else? Okay, thank you. We'll take care of that in the next meeting. Item number 2. This is the fire department. It's just strictly a, we've already had our, well, we got a public hearing today on that, don't we?
Yes, sir.
Okay, all right. We'll do that in a proper time. Item number 4 is a,
I think that's Brantley lines.
Brantley, his email, I think we know he's okay with this issue. I've looked at some of the stuff myself that they presented to us in a package last time. Looks like they got their plan together, and so I'm happy with that one myself, and Brantley's okay. All right. Item number 5 is the McLemore Road issue, and
The beer and
Mr.
wine.
Bollinger?
Yeah, the beer and wine is just,
Five is the beer and wine, which
yeah,
is
and it's just,
normal.
that's typical with almost any gas station.
number 6
any other
is the-
place, beer
And
and wine.
we all know,
Yeah.
we all know that to build this property that's been built, it had to get approval from the ABC and our planning department to build that property. So these people built this thing anticipating getting their liquor, getting these licenses.
Yeah.
So,
And we'll talk about number 6 there. You know, I rolled it over so that I could meet with the neighborhood, okay? Met with them. They wanted to meet with the developer. So I set up a meeting with the developer, and it was going to be anywhere from 10 to 50 to show up. I said, we'll change rooms the more that come. No one showed up. But what I got out of the developer while we was, and I called them on the phone while we were sitting there, and one thought the others were going to come, and they just, nobody showed. But when sitting there with the developer, I found out his building, he's invested $2.2 million. He lives here in Montgomery. He has a lot of other things here. His hours of operation are 5 in the morning to 11 at night. And I didn't realize it, but at every one of his stores, whether they're liquor or not, he has a guard that comes in, a bonded, licensed guard that comes in from 5 to 11. He says he makes his money off of people shopping inside that store. To him, this is another commodity that he can sell. So he surely is not going to let anybody be hanging around outside of an investment like that.
okay. Anybody got any questions, Richard, on this issue? Okay.
So
Let's
in
go to
other
number
words,
7.
So in other words, you in agreement with it, gonna move forward with it, because the community, they not showing up. I've been getting
Yeah.
emails, but,
Yeah. You know, and you saw the emails went around, and, you know, that they went around, but when you do, you get yourself into trouble when you're trying to look out and get a list out of people that are against this, and they don't put down addresses. They're not even, some of them from the state of Alabama, and some of them weren't even from the United States, if you read the list. So I don't even know if it's a legal, something that they can actually bring in. Petition, you know, that would be against this. No signatures involved at all. It was nicely typed, but I'll listen to them, and I think this is well away from everything, and I think it's a fairly large investment that we kind of control from here on out, because we know when it comes into the building department that if it's going to have alcohol, it's going to go to the city council to start with. And at that point, maybe we can say yay or nay to that developer, so he didn't put out all that money in a facility that we tell him at the end of the day, no. So.
I guess it's a little different from building and just adding a liquor store in a service station, because you
Well,
don't
yeah,
have to.
what he has is he has 4,000 square foot building, upscale. He has 500 square feet cut out in the building. Look back at the plans, you can't even get to the alcohol. You have to ask the person behind the counter to bring whatever you think you want.
That's how most of them look.
Yeah, so it's a little different to me than that guy that's gone to the strip center and he's paying $700 a month, you know, to be in a strip center, and that's all he's got. When you got $2 million involved in the game, I think you've got enough skin in the game to keep it pretty upscale and clean.
Okay. Any more questions on 6? Number 7.
Yes, Mr. Jenright,
Yes, sir,
I
Mr.
carried this
Allen.
over like 2 weeks ago in order to give the association and the owner a chance to meet and discuss where they wanted to go with this. I hear they had a pretty good meeting, so tonight I just want to hear what they're saying before I make a decision on voting it up or down.
You gonna do what now?
What was that? Yeah, I'm gonna listen to them tonight. They met, so I want to hear what they got to say, what they come up with the plan,
Okay.
and then we'll make a call at that point.
Very good, you got it. Okay. All right, number 8's tear them down. Number 9 is unsafe structures, and number 10 is weeds, so that's it. Anybody got anything they want to talk about?
Brother Jenright.
Yes, sir.
Yes, I want to talk about the carnival situation.
Yeah.
How can we, or how are we notified when they are coming on private property? Is it anything that we can do? Because I hate to see them come in my district and me not knowing until once they start putting things up. Do they have?
Chip, what's your take? Who handles that inside the city? I don't really know. We got one at Eastdale,
The,
had a mess out there.
I believe that's Ashley Ledbetter. See, that's where they apply for the permit to come. So I'm not sure I understand the question.
The carnivals that come to town, they sit up in parking lots, like at Eastdale, they sit up in parking lot last week, week 4 last, whatever. And they pay that as private property. They pay the shopping center money to be there. I don't know how much, what kind of cover do we have any stipulation where we can't license them, really? I mean, are they, tell me what we got.
We don't have,
We don't.
I don't think we have a permitting process.
I don't
No,
think we do.
not for that, no.
I think
I was just thinking
yeah.
about in general.
I
I'm not sure.
think we have an answer here.
Yes, they have to come to the business license division to get a business license in order to be able to set up there. Also, they have to have the permission of the property where they want to set up.
If they get permission, they come to you for business license.
Yeah.
Yeah, they go to the business
Okay,
license
that answers
division.
your question on
And
that.
one of the things I'd like to see.
We need a council to talk to before you issue that business license, I believe.
Yeah.
We need some control on that.
Yeah, the
Because
key-
as you know, we had a shooting to one at Eastdale on Saturday night. And it's been kind of it ain't exactly the best place in the world to be, and doesn't put our best foot forward when you see these things. And I know Richard was out there with it Saturday night. It's not a very good, and on Rondé, apparently you have the same issues.
Yeah, I think if we find out from Chief Finley, we had the same problem last year. You know, what we have is a mix. We have a mix of parents just dropping kids off, middle school age and all, and leaving them kind of like babysitting. But then we have the larger, older kids coming in there. They're a little bit rougher, sometimes gets out of control. I went out there the other night after the shooting. It cost us probably about 8 to 10 cruisers out there because they were going from one area to the next, from one gas station to the next. We were fortunate enough that the mall was closed because everybody would have probably run into that mall. But it got pretty much out of hand to start with. But if we know about it, maybe we can plan for these kind of events to have some additional security or something. I'm not exactly sure. I have to work with our president here to see if we need an ordinance that says, hey, if you're going to have an event, you need some security, period. We got the big fair coming up. We have security. It's a plan that we have. But for something like that,
And how far in advance do they have to come in order to get the business license before they start setting up?
They usually contact our compliance officers about a month in advance.
Okay.
When they want to come in. And what I can recommend to the compliance officers and to the new interim manager is to contact the council person in which they are wanting to set up in order to get the conversation started with you guys so that they can have leadership from you guys, whether you want it in your districts or not.
That'd be great.
thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you. That answers the question. Okay. Anybody else got anything else to talk about?
Yes, Mr. President, I got something I just noticed when I was coming here. If we look at the fountain that's right around here on Dexter,
Yeah.
We got a lot of just people that just hanging out there, laying out, sleeping, just doing everything up under the sun, and it's affecting those businesses within that area. So we can get our police officers, I don't know if we still have the bike patrols, to try to keep that cleaned up, because we do the Fridays with the food thing, and people just laying out, and you got young ladies going into these shops that's afraid because they're being approached by these young men.
Hear that,
So,
Chip?
we don't want to kill what we're building downtown by just letting that kind of element just lay around.
That's bad. Thanks for bringing that up. Good.
That's an ongoing issue, and
Gotta get rid of it.
we're trying.
Okay.
And we've had to address it a couple of times. And on the carnival issue, the mayor and I were talking, and we may need your input as far as formalizing this with the council. But I think we're well within our rights telling people that minor children cannot be dropped off unattended.
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
people do that all the time. And who knows what effect it would have, but I mean, it's something we could do.
Right.
Yeah,
Even
good.
with the movies, they started dropping them off out there at the movie theater, and
Yeah.
our MPD, Mackey, he was excellent in spearheading that. If he had to sit out there, and ask for ID with them all that came through, he did that, but we got that under control, so I know.
It can be
Same thing we
controlled.
have with the rate, yeah.
Okay.
One other question. Chip, do we have a restriction on our food trucks? Are our food trucks only able to be downtown at a certain
We do
time of
have
the month?
locations for them. I think there is a licensed location, right? Is that right for food trucks?
Yeah, and I mean, it's just not wide open. Eventually it will be again, but it's limited right now, because of the other limitations that are in place.
Okay. So we will be opening that up for the food
At some
truck?
point, everything will be back open at some point. Certainly, hope so.
Any more questions? Anything else? We'll adjourn till 5 o'clock.